Hey Internet friends. Today we're going to talk about The Batman. The Batman being the new Robert Pattinson movie that's supposed to be coming out March 4th, 2022. Another trailer dropped about 2 months ago. Some test screenings have happened, and the original trailer came out, I don't know, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost. And being as big a Batman fan as I am, I figured this would be a fun topic to talk about. One thing being, some of the reviews of the test screening sounds very, very interesting to me. Like, super cool. One of the things that I keep seeing pop up on the test screening reviews is this movie plays more like a horror movie than it does a comic movie, which to me that speaks volumes in a Batman setting, um, as opposed to how all the other Batman movies have been, like the original Michael Keaton. Well, I don't know if it's the original, but like let's start back with the Tim Burton, way back when, the 1989 Batman and Batman Returns, the dawn of the gritty superhero era. Like he took cues from the Frank Miller 1980s Batman, the darkness of Gotham City and everything, which after being released a few years after the Superman movies with Christopher Reeves in them, were like literally night and day. Like Christopher Reeves Superman movies were cheesy and fun and bright colored blue and pretty and good against evil and just just very stereotypical superhero genre of like, I'm here to save the day, and he's just this good looking guy, and he's jacked, and he's the bright blue and red and American Dream and all that. And then the 1989 Keaton Batman comes out, and Gotham City is depicted as this dark, gritty place, and crime is everywhere, and Batman is dark, and it's something different, and it flipped the script on what everyone was expecting for superhero movies. And then over time, eventually we did get the Joel Schumacher movies, which were an homage to, as you guys know, the Adam West Batman, which as a kid were some of my favorites. The Joel Schumacher movies, hence we wouldn't have bat nips if we didn't have bat nipples on their costumes, right, guys? Like, full circle. But those two movies with Val Kilmer and then again with George Clooney created a different picture for the comic book movie genre. They were brought back that 1960s feel of like campy and goofy, and like, yeah, these are can be really dark, but like they're fun and goofy, and they're fun for the whole family, and like buy this merchandise, and that's a thing that happened. And then fast forward to the Nolan trilogy, and we go back to this dark grittiness, but it's not just like gritty for the sake of gritty. It's like this dark realism of what society is, and how sick the world actually is, and like why Batman is needed. And it's dark and it's scary, and the concept of like it's feels almost too real because it's set in like a realistic setting. It's not like campy or comic booking anymore. It's like it feels like something that's really going on, and it's like the realism of that is actually way more terrifying than anything else. But it's actually like made for really good cinema. Um, and then next, fast forward a little bit longer, and then we get the Batman versus Superman, and we got this whole DC universe that they're trying to create, with starting with Man of Steel, and they successfully took the cheesiness out of Man of Steel, but they still had it like, oh, it's good and hopeful, and they just did it with a little bit less cheese and a little bit more grit, I guess. And then Batman Superman, you get the Batfleck. I got something hanging up, because he's the most comic accurate Batman I've ever had, because he's huge compared to all the other guys. But the small snippets that you get of Batman and like the Justice League, and then especially the Justice League Snyder cut, and even in the like Batman Superman, of like Batman doing his own thing, is like super badass, and like he is the force to be reckoned with, taking down Superman that like we have wanted and needed for this entire time. And that brings us to the Batman, with Robert Pattinson, that's coming out soon. I will do another video after it comes out, obviously, to talk about it, but we don't really know what to expect from this. Like, as for timeline wise, I don't know if it's fitting into the DCEU, if it's going to be like the Joker, where it's like its own thing. But there's so many questions that I have. It could be a prequel, as you will, because like Pattinson is a lot younger than Affleck, so like it could be like the build-up story to his Batman. It could be its own thing, but let's talk about the trailers itself. The first trailer that came out, I loved. I absolutely loved every bit of that trailer. It seemed to be exactly the kind of Batman movie that I want. And the new trailer is a little bit more, I would say, not fanfare. It's a little bit more generalized for people that aren't like me, that are like the super hardcore comic fans. It looks like a general comic action movie. Like, it looks like what it's supposed to be. Like, what's gonna get people, like, that's really what it is that trailer is designed to get regular Joes to fill those seats. Like, regular people will see that and be like, that looks pretty cool. Kind of like the Marvel Universe is doing cool shit. Like, oh, DC's doing another cool thing. Batman's a cool thing. The first trailer is a lot darker and a lot grittier, and I think that's what I wanted. That's really what I want. And then, based on the reviews from the screenings, like the test screenings, I've been reading a lot of these different reviews, and they all keep coming back as the same thing: is you hear people screaming, you hear gasping, and people that have talked about it like won't give out too many details, but say that it plays more like a horror movie than it does a comic movie, which, like I said at the beginning, that says volumes to me. That is huge. The reason that speaks volumes to me is because Batman in the comics isn't what you guys see all the time in like these movies. Yeah, he can be that, but like most of the best Batman stories are noir stories that play out like a old school noir detective, and it's all about the detective work Batman does, not just him being a big badass and whipping ass, because he does do that as well. But it's all about like he's the world's greatest detective. So it's all very noir, very like finding clues, solving mysteries, stuff like that. Not like Scooby-Doo mysteries, but like solving murder, solving like terrible awfulness. And they do a very good homage to this in like the Arkham series of like setting up crime scenes and like doing investigations. And but the fact that if this movie's playing like a horror movie, it tells us a lot. And that being like, if the villains in this movie are to pose a threat to Batman, because at this point people have seen him fight Superman, who's essentially a god. How can they pose a threat? It needs to play out exactly in that way, especially if this is like a younger Batman, an inexperienced Batman. It's him trying to figure out his way and still trying to learn what's going on. He's obviously going to take more of a take charge force and try to show them that he's also the force to be reckoned with, but he's not recognized yet because he's younger, still inexperienced. But then there's the whole concept of like, what it looks like to me, it's the Riddler. There's a lot of question marks and whatnot. And if they play it out in a story, in a fashion of like the Riddler is the villain, like the main villain, because there's also like, it shows like the Penguin and Catwoman, and I'm sure there's going to be the Joker and a bunch of other villains. I have refused to look up things about it because I want to be surprised when I see it, which seeing the trailers are bad enough. But I feel like it'll be, if anything, maybe it'll reminisce like things like the Long Halloween or the Hush story, where it'll be this long, outstanding issue, like this one mystery is revolving around, causing him to loop around and have to deal with his other rogues and the Rogues Gallery. Like the Long Halloween is my favorite story of all time. Comic wise is way better than the movie. The movie was okay. The adaptations are getting a little bit worse for wear. They're just kind of pandering at this point, but that's a whole nother video. But the whole concept of him having to solve like something's going on and the Riddler's killing people and leaving clues, and that's an interesting concept, especially for the Riddler himself, because usually he's a little bit more tame. It's not about killing people, it's about sending a message. But it looks like in the trailer, the one trailer, he's like taping a body, and the other he's got a bomb strapped to somebody with the thing. And that would be very interesting, because that would be a more noir aspect of Batman, is like trying to figure out this concept of what the Riddler would be, and especially if it's a more horror themed. If people feel like it's more horror themed, it makes it a little bit more dark, and it makes it probably a lot more gory. in the sense of like bodies and stuff, which I think is going to be a great refresher because like the Marvel universe is great and all, but like I'm kind of tired of it. Like I'm not caught up with a lot of stuff because it's just like the same. Like yeah, the stories are cool and the characters are interesting, but like it's Marvel, so it's like happy-go-lucky and it's feel good stories and there's not a lot of grit to it. Like I'm DC fan for life. I need that grit. I want that darkness because it makes it feel that much more real when there's darkness to it. So the fact that in March we're finally going to get what looks like a really dark and disturbing Batman movie is so exciting to me. And I hope that it lives up to the standards that it's set with its two trailers. The second trailer I thought wasn't as great as the first trailer. The first trailer had me hooked. I've watched it a million times of just like the slow music, like yeah, like people were saying it's a cliche, but like the grittiness of the just hearing the duct tape before you see anything of just like the duct tape ripping uh, that he's covering the body in the first 5 seconds of that trailer, and then like the message on it of like why spread lies or whatever the message, something like that. Um, that's something that we need. Well, as comic fans, as DC fans, that's something that we've needed for a long time. Like we're kind of got away from like that aspect of it, and I think if they do more movies in the DC realm, like we already have Marvel to feel good about ourselves and like yeah, that's cool, a little fun, but comic book family movie. Let DC just go dark. Like let it just be the the dark grittiness that it actually is. Let it really resonate with people of just like I didn't realize the Riddler was that fucked up. Like do it. It would be great. And then there's so much I could say, but I think I'm going to leave it at that. This video's already going on long enough. 4 ingredient challenge I'm going to keep trying to do. Every time my friends challenge me with 4 ingredients, I'm going to do it and film it. I'm currently editing one right now that we filmed a few weeks ago. And then some more food videos and some more Tim Tries will be coming out this month. Oh, and hey guys, before I forget, a good friend of mine named the Caffeinated Magician also runs a YouTube channel, and he asked me for a shout out. He's a great dude. He's got a lot of great magic tricks. He's family friendly for the whole family, so if you want to see some cool magic, check out his channel, The Caffeinated Magician. Yeah, let me reiterate. Thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.